morning, everyone. I'm Erica. Welcome back to my channel, and this is going to be the next video in the list of spring projects that I talked about in a previous video that I wanted to make for myself. So this one is going to be the next retro or vintage pattern. It is Butterick 5708, so it is that one. I believe this is actually probably one of the first vintage patterns that I collected, and so I've been looking at this one for a while and I really wanted to make it. I'm gonna do the solid version. There's that one right there where there's like an accent. I'm just gonna do it the solid version. The top is basically the same for all of them. It's just how you tie it, which I think is really cool. So I'm really intrigued by this pattern. I'm really excited to get started. In the project announcement video, this was the fabric I was going to use for it. It's just this gorgeous embroidered linen. However, I do not have enough. I don't remember how long ago I found it at the thrift store. I believe it was one of the ones that was in one of the big bags where they had just a price marked up. Ugh, I can't talk. I believe it was in one of the big bags I found a couple of years ago where I randomly went in and they had a whole bunch of these massive bed linen bags that were full of fabric, and they just had one price marked on the bag and you got the bag and whatever was in it. You couldn't really choose, and that was fine. I got a lot of really good stuff through that. This was, I believe, in that, but I think there's only exactly 2 yards in this, and this is just going to need a lot more than that. There was no way I could even make it work. So I love this linen. I'm going to save it, use it for another project. So I've reshifted, and for this dress I have this adorable red and white polka dot, and I've had this for a while. This actually did not come from a thrift store. I believe this was purchased at Joann's, but I've had it for quite a while because it was in a stash of fabric I bought when I was making masks in 2020, and it ended up not getting used. I love it. I'm excited to use it, and I'm excited to finally use it up. I think it goes too well. Like, I mean, I know it's red in here and I don't have to make it match. I just like the look of it red, and I love the polka dot. So I have already cut out the pieces that were not very many. I don't know how quick the project's gonna go, but I cut out these pieces a couple of weeks ago before we went on our spring break trip, and they've been sitting here since, so I'm excited to actually get into making it, but I'm gonna have to reshift my brain and get back into it because it has been a little bit since I have worked on a project. So let me switch around and show the pieces that I have, and let's get started. I'm really excited about this one. Okay, I still have to lay all this out to figure out where I'm going, where the instructions have me going with this first, but I just have to show this really quick. Sometimes I wonder if people actually really believe how much of what I say I found at a thrift store, I really did in fact find at a thrift store, because most of what I work with was found at a thrift store. But this was just a little example. I had to run a couple errands today, and I went to one of the normal ones that I hop around to a lot, and I was only in that store probably 2 weeks ago, I think, and there wasn't really anything there. I didn't expect to find anything, but oh my goodness, I did. So, like, just as an example, this is $4. Now, I don't know exactly how much is in here, but it's definitely more than a yard. I would probably, based off of what I'm seeing, say 2.5 to 3, probably. Anyway, I'm not 100% sure what the fiber content is, but it feels like a very sturdy cotton, and I just loved the color, and it's sturdy enough and thick enough that I feel like it would make some amazing pants or shorts that would be very comfortable. So I got that for that, and that's how I've grabbed most of my fabric, is just bits at a time. But the big thing right here is there was also these two massive bolts of fusible interfacing, and they had $5 marked on each one, which, like, oh my goodness, it's that interfacing, and I don't even know how much is on this bolt. I realize that interfacing isn't double layered over in a fold, but I mean, goodness, this one's still completely wrapped in plastic. I haven't looked at that yet to see if it says how much is on the bolt, but like originally, see here, it's whoop, $2.09 a yard, and I just, this is how I do it, guys. I mean, you just, I've never seen something with this quantity at the store before. It's just at the thrift store. I am still kind of actually in shock. I use interfacing for practically every garment that I make, and it's one of those things that you just always have on hand. I'm just in shock. And so anyway, I know that I'm sure there's still going to be people one day that are like, are you really sure you found all of that at a thrift store? To the best of my ability, I promise. When I say I found something at a thrift store, I do not say that unless I'm positive it came from there. And a lot of times I will still have the proof, because when I actually get to making something, I realize I haven't cut the little tags off yet, and they're still there. Several of the stores I go to don't even put this tag on there. They just stick a colored brad in, and it's a price based off of whatever color that this little thing is. So anyway, I just thought I'd show that for one, because I'm really freaking excited that I got all of this interfacing for $10. Still kind of in shock. Anyway, on to the polka dot dress. So this dress was a relatively quick construction. What you just did is sewed the front two and the back two bottom bodice pieces together, leaving the top a little bit open to sew in that top portion with the V. And for the front part of this dress, what I'm showing there is that I ran a small gathering stitch just to ease in that space over the bust line. And then it was just sewing that to the bottom bodice, breaking it at that center V, and starting a new stitch line to make sure that it folded up and ironed up flatly. And it took some finagling, but it worked. And it was just doing that to the front, the back, the front lining, and the back lining. And then it was all, and then sewing it together, the front and the back, on one side, but leaving the other side open for the zipper, which I'll show later. Which, as I figured out as I was editing this footage, I didn't do hardly any talking. So it's voiceover, Erica, for this. I believe the kids were home, and I just busted this out one day, and they were in and out, hence why I didn't update anywhere during the middle of this. So yeah, the trickiest part of the whole thing was getting that center V on all four pieces, the front lining, the back, and the back lining, and getting it to lay flat. I did have to go back and rip a couple of stitches and then sew it again, and then iron it down until I got it laying how I wanted. But other than that, this project was actually pretty quick. So here I'm jumping to running 2 rows of gathering stitches along the top panel of the skirt, which again, this pattern did have a center front seam and a center back seam. I took that out and cut all of those on the fold, and then sewed what I'm showing here is sewed the one side together, and then left the other side open that the zipper is going to be on, and I'll finish that later. Like with all the other dresses that I'm doing, I added this is a turn hem here, a quick underskirt to this, because this was very see-through fabric, and again, I don't want to have to wear a slip. So with the one side seamed together. It was just one long flat rectangle, and then I began the process of gathering up the waistband to match the width of the lining piece, pinned that down, stitched that down in a basting stitch, and then attached it to the bodice piece with right sides together. And then, so showing that there, sewed the bodice on, right sides together. And then after that began the zipper. And like I said, apparently I was either not in the mood to talk or kids were walking in and out, because normally I would have like hopped in and updated at this point. But this is what I found. So once the zipper was in, I finished that other side seam all the way down and did not put pockets in this dress yet again. I'm gonna have to, I don't know why I didn't. Maybe it's because I was already putting in those skirts and I just didn't feel like adding yet another thing that wasn't already in. But I'm gonna have to change that when I make them in the future. So once the zipper was in, then began the process of starting on one side of the zipper, going all the way to the other side of the zipper, sewing the lining to the outer fabric. And this was just all the way around, from zipper to zipper, around all the ties, the top, the other side. And yeah, this was a while of just seaming. And then once all of that was seamed together, then I needed to go clip the curves and the tips and all of that for turning it right side out. And then once it was turned right side out, I top stitched it all the way around, as after I pressed it, of course, and then finished up the zipper edge, and then finished up the waistband edge on the inside. And I think that was about it. Oh, and then the hem, which again was just another turn and turn hem. So yeah, this was pretty quick. It was pretty fun, and I enjoyed this. I enjoyed working with this fabric. I will say though that I would definitely use a slinkier fabric next time I make this dress. But yeah, so that was it. And this was definitely a quicker one than I have done in a while. And I will show it in a second. Okay, final thoughts on this dress. I love the pattern. It's unique, it's different. There are a couple of things I was not expecting. So I believe, as I said, the original pattern had a center front and back seam on the skirt panels that to me were very unnecessary, so I took them out in this particular one. Yet another dress in which I did not put pockets, already regretting it. But I'm gonna be making this dress again. Other than that, like, the fabric is beautiful. I love it. I think it looks really adorable. The biggest problem is the cotton is too thick. Now, the back of the pattern, from what I remember, did say that cotton was an option for this, but I think I used one that's too thick because these ties just are a little bit pokey. I wish they would kind of more lay down. One thing that I could not tell from the picture of the pattern is it looked to me more like that one of the ways you could tie it would be up on the shoulders, and with this particular fabric that just does not work with this neckline at all. So this one will have to stay just off my shoulder, which is fine. I just thought I would have the option to also go above my shoulders, which I don't. The way the style of the dress is with the thicker cotton means it's a little bit more of a poof with where the skirt starts and is gathered, which again is fine. It's just not I like it to be I like it swooshy, but I don't like it to poof quite so much. So the next time I make this, it will definitely be with more of a slinky fabric if I can locate one. But it's comfortable, it's again elegant. I love the vintage look of it. I'm figuring out how much I love 1950s dresses, so there will definitely be more. And so I feel like this one falls a little bit closer to the realm of the halter sheet dress I made, where it's more of a wearable mock-up. However, I will feel a little bit more comfortable wearing this out of the house. It's just, I probably won't wear it too often, and I might see if I can. I've washed it a couple of times and this is still very pokey. So I think that's what I'm trying to figure out right now, is the tie situation. But anyway, the fabric is beautiful. I believe it worked really well with this pattern for aesthetic purposes, for just how it looks. I'm so excited about it and can't wait to try this pattern again with a different fabric. So I'd love to hear your thoughts. I'd love it if you like and subscribe and join me for the next one. Bye.